What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the sole proponent. Today, I want to talk about persisting despite the difficulties. It takes a certain attitude to do the spiritual work of spiritual awakening. It's almost to the point where we have to disregard the consequences, forget about what it will mean. Despite the difficulties, we have to move on and continue to do the work in the face of adversities. Those adversities and those difficulties are part of the grit, of the dirt. Like when an oyster gets a piece of dirt inside of it, that's when the pearl develops. So the dirt, the difficulties are part of the process. We can't skip over them. We can't quit because it seems too difficult. That's going back to the old ways. That's not the spiritual path. You know, a diamond forms underneath heavy pressure. So that hard part, that part where it hurts, where it's painful, we can appreciate that. It's not something to get rid of. It's not something to avoid. It's not something to go around. It's not something to judge. That's part of the process. So we have to understand that, and it can backfire if we don't pay attention and be aware that the difficulties are part of the process. It's not meant to, to show us that we're failing. It's not meant to be something that will make us quit. It's almost like the more difficulties there are, the more you're going in the right direction. It seems counterintuitive, but that's the truth. The path is very difficult, but we have to persist despite the difficulties. Not an easy thing. At the beginning, we might be able to get through some of the difficult parts if we're in a good environment, if circumstances are favorable, if conditions are according to what we think is good. But that's the whole the crux of my message, is that despite the difficulties, even if things aren't good, even if conditions aren't right, even if people around us aren't providing the support we need to walk the path to the truth, we still have to walk despite the difficulties. The path never ends. It's continuous. We're always improving. Okay, so yeah, there's times where you're going to take a break, and that's okay. We're going to need to take breaks because there's very, very few people will continuously work without taking a break. I don't know if that's realistic, but we know we're going to come back full force and come back even stronger when we get off that break. That's the thing about it. And when we first do it, okay, in my experience, when I first started the path, I did it for a couple of times, and then I stopped, and then it got too difficult. I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to do that again. But somehow or other, something brought me to a place where almost kind of where I picked up where I left off. And then I would get a little further, and I know I'm making progress. So, even if we're not making progress, we have to be aware we still have to continue despite the difficulties, despite the fact that we don't feel like anything's happening, or what we want to happen is not happening. That's part of the path too. We have to cultivate the attitude of pursuing despite the difficulties. John Dominique, the sole proponent.